North Carolina has just squeaked out a victory over Ohio State 71-70. And is this good teams find a way to win? Or is there some serious question marks that you need to have about this team? If we look at the stats initially, what immediately jumps off the screen, Caleb Wilson, Henri, Vessaarr, Seth, Trimble. They combined for almost 55 points. So your big three, as you would look at it, did really well. Now, Luka and Evans combined for 2 points between the two of them, and neither one of them saw over 20 minutes of game time. Evans played 16, Luka played 13. This Ohio State game was almost a disastrous letdown, being up 10, fouling on a three-point shooter again, like we saw against Michigan State in Florida. And this is an Ohio State team that's probably somewhere between 7 and 10 in the Big Ten. I mean, they lost to Pitt, I think, 2 weeks ago by a point. So it just brings up the question, Carolina fans, please let me know. Is this what you envision out of the program? Not looking stellar against inferior teams all the way through for 40 minutes. Struggling against an Ohio State team that lost to Pitt a couple weeks ago. Struggling against that Kentucky team that, yes, they beat St. John's today, but Carolina played them without some of their best players. And again, it took a step back from Dixon to win that. And even tonight, Seth takes a tumble. The ball falls to Vessaarr. He makes a dunk. It's being in the right place at the right time, and being lucky in basketball games is definitely a way to win them sometimes. And that's what happens over the course of a run to March. Sometimes you have to have a little bit of luck. My thing is, should you be requiring that type of situation to beat an Ohio State team that I don't think anybody really feels is that great? Now, you could look at it from this. Luka and Evans combined for 2 points. How many games this year are those two going to combine for only 2 points? Maybe it's not a lot. I thought the bench did pretty well, and especially in comparison to Ohio State. Ohio State had 0 points off the bench for them. Carolina ended up with 15. Stevenson went 0 for 4 from 3, but other than that, the bench combined for 3 of 8. Rebounds were 39-39. Carolina 22 assists to Ohio State 17. Your turnovers were under 10 at 7. You had 5 blocks. So in almost in a way too, outside of Luka and Evans, it wasn't a game in which you would say Carolina played particularly bad in. It was just, again, maybe a lack of focus, a lack of execution over the full 40 minutes, which we've seen out of this team at times, to where you just kind of shake your head and think, what are you guys doing out there for some of these 4 to 5 minute stretches? It's not just this game. It was the Michigan State game, it's the Kansas game, it's the Kentucky game. That game still haunts me as one of the worst games I've watched. And I don't know. I think if you're being honest, I think it's tough to say that this is a top 10 team, and you can look at the record and say 11-1. It's the best start for the program has had in years. I think last I heard, the 10-1 was the best start since 2018. I don't know if it goes beyond that, but have they really proven to be, hey, this is an Elite 8 team, this is a top 10 team in the country? I don't see that personally. And as a Carolina fan, I'm trying to do this video and take off the blue tinted glasses and say, while yes, they did one and that was fantastic, there's a huge cause for concern, saying is like, what is the program standard? And are you getting the most out of this team and this program? And that, in essence, comes down to administration and coaching staff. Is this team getting better, or is this team kind of just flatlining while we see some other teams getting better? They basically they're just inside the top 30 of strength of schedule so far this year. The best team they played is Michigan State, which didn't go well. And I think in essence, you're 2 plays away in the Kentucky game and the Ohio State game from, I think, Hubert being on an extremely hot seat. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys feel different. Maybe this is the change of the program and the standard is not quite what we thought it was, or what we've known it to be over previous years. I just think there's a lot of questions. I think Carolina's had a lot of slow starts. We've seen them just completely check out mentally at times of these basketball games, and to the point where they found ways to win them. Yes, they're 11-1, but could they play this way that we've seen them not just play on a one-off? Like let's take Duke, for instance, to make all the Carolina fans mad. Struggled against Lipscomb. They end up pulling away at the end. We've seen Carolina do that against a lot of different teams. Lipscomb's probably going to win their conference and get in the tournament. But we've also seen Duke win games at Michigan State. We've seen Duke beat Arkansas, who I think is a pretty solid team, and we'll see what happens tonight between them and Houston. Carolina doesn't have that. They've been playing this way for a few weeks now. And the question is this UNC team a top 10 team? And if they play the way that they have been playing as of late, do we genuinely think that they are going to be able to compete with Purdue, Michigan, Houston, Duke, Arizona, Gonzaga? I don't see it. And I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm not trying to say, because I wasn't that high on this team when we got into this, I thought the amount of money that they spent on the NIL roster should at least award you some depth, especially in the in the bigs, and they just don't have that. And you have Wilson and Vessaarr, who are probably the two best front court pair in the country. I still think Florida's front court overall is better. I think there are better front courts if you bring in who they start and who they can come and bring in off the bench that are better than what North Carolina boasts across all four of the guys that you technically have on the roster, or maybe five if you want to throw Ivan in there. It's a lot of money spent on this roster that doesn't have the type of depth that you would like to see. It's a team that doesn't appear to be getting better, and that, I think, is on the coaching staff. And it's a team that I think if they play the way that they have played this month, and guys, we are a couple weeks from January now, conference play starts up soon. I don't think if they play the way that they've been playing, if they play the way they did tonight and the way they did against Kentucky, I think they lose by 15 plus points to an Arizona, to a Michigan, to a Gonzaga, to a Purdue. And we've seen them play Michigan State, who's a top 10 team, and they did lose by 15 plus points. So I think there's a ton of question marks. I don't really know how to feel. I'm glad that they won. It's great. It's 11-1. I just think that crowning them almost inside the top 10 and saying this is such a good basketball team, I feel like it is extremely early. Caleb Wilson is great. Vessaarr is great. It's great to have Seth Trimble back. But outside those three, you're facing way more questions than answers, specifically with the staff. Specifically, is the team getting better? Specifically, is the team going to be capable of actually competing with some of those top 7 to 8 teams in the country? I don't think they're anywhere near it. And if you've watched some of those teams, the physicality, the waves that they can come at people off the bench, the tactical changes that are happening. And that's where you can say, okay, they played a lot better in the second half, and that's fantastic. But we're also pulling that from games against teams like East Tennessee State and South Carolina Upstate. And no disrespect to those teams or programs, but if you're North Carolina and your roster is $13 million and you have a top 5 pick, do we need high level of second half adjustments in order to beat those teams by 15 to 20 points? I think there needs to be an honest conversation. I'm trying to do these videos, taking the blue tinted glasses off. You guys get in the comments. Let me know what you actually think about this North Carolina team. Maybe good teams find a way to win, and that's what they did tonight. But bad teams also find ways to lose, and they have been very close to doing that on multiple occasions against teams that I don't think are that good. And again, with the scheduling thing, they're just inside the top 30 of strength of schedule. They have played a easier schedule according to the metrics than Virginia and NC State up to this point. And so it's hard for me to say. I'm not saying that this team can't do that or this team won't be there. What I'm saying is, over what we've seen, I think their best game, the best we've seen them play is the second half of the second game of the year. We haven't seen them get that much better, but it's a long season, right? It's a long season, and you know what? Hubert's the guy. That's what we've been told, and that this team is going to figure it out. And this is the best team that Carolina's had since pre-2017 because they're 11-1, and we'll see how it shakes out. But you guys get in the comments, is this a top 10 team? Is this team reaching its full potential so far? Are they getting better? Are they getting worse? You guys let me know all your thoughts on Carolina right now. The non-conference schedule is basically over. They still have ECU left, which they'll play on Monday, and then they'll get a break, and then they'll be in a conference play and open up their first 5 conference games with Florida State, at SMU, Wake Forest, Stanford, and Cal. So going to be intriguing to see. We'll see how this goes. Get in the comments, hit like, share the video, hit subscribe to enter your name in the portal, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.